Hello, Misfits. This is Kevin.
And this is Kate.
Welcome to Horrorwood. Ooh.
It does feel like we have to say something there, even though we don't, because the music starts. But it's just like weird because the music doesn't play
We
here.
don't hear it. Yeah. Also, I loved the sound effect that you put in for the stories episode. It worked.
It came through. I was so excited.
Yes. I'm obsessed with that.
We're keeping it.
We're keeping it in. How's it going?
I'm actually exhausted today.
Yeah.
Like I was saying when you came in, I think it's because we went from gorgeous, sunny, like hot weather to storms and gray, which I love storms and gray, but it's also like kind of drained my energy.
Sure.
And so I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I've been wiped out all day long.
I understand that feeling. I feel like I've been out of sorts the past couple weeks. Everything, you know, the feeling when things just feel weird?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel, things are fine.
Sure.
And they're moving along.
Yeah.
Everybody's trucking through.
Absolutely.
But something's off.
Is Mercury in retrograde?
It could be.
I wonder if it is.
It might be.
'Cause I feel like that screws everything up.
Oh, God. Fucking Mercury. Just go into the sun and leave us the fuck alone.
Follow the light.
Follow the light. Well, that's good, Kate. I'm glad you're doing well.
Thanks. And you too, I guess, even though you're in a kind of a weird place.
Weird place. Lots of things going wrong.
Oh, no.
You know, work is weird. Health is weird.
Oh,
it's all weird. But that's okay. I'll get through it.
I mean, I feel
I'm
like
a star.
you are a star. Everything is temporary.
Yeah. No, that's what I keep telling myself.
Which is like a nice thought and a terrifying thought.
Yeah.
But everything is temporary.
Yeah, it is.
Yikes.
Well, fuck. Let's get through it.
Let's do it. The good and the bad, it's all going to end.
It's all how... That's distressing. I see TikTok videos all the time of people just walking around and they're like looking at different places and they just go, it doesn't matter. None of this matters.
Oh, wow.
And they just smile and keep walking along like eating an ice cream cone. I strive for that level of just like,
apathy.
you know? Yeah. Anyway.
Yesterday was Easter for those who celebrate.
Yeah.
I'm just realizing because we're recording this in advance.
Exactly. I miss coloring eggs for Easter, though, if that's a thing. Like, I used to do it
it's a
all
thing.
the time, but eggs are so expensive now.
I know. It's crazy.
I don't want to buy them and ruin them. What
Right.
else can you color? Rocks?
I guess. People paint rocks.
Empty wine bottles?
Do you color those, though? I feel
You
like
can paint them, though. But that's
Okay.
like a bigger thing.
that feels like a project
Yeah.
suddenly.
I'm getting acrylics. I'm going to Michael's.
We don't need a shopping trip.
No. Well, let's get into this story.
With that said,
With that said, do we have any like business or anything? Like,
I don't think so.
okay. All right. Let's dive into this case.
Let's do
It's
it.
a little longer than my usual story. Content warning for this episode: themes of suicide.
Well, shit.
But well,
Such a long pause.
no. So today I'm covering a singer-songwriter,
Okay.
Elliott Smith, and I'm ashamed to say I didn't know who this was.
I don't know who this
And
is.
he was a super popular musician.
What would be,
and-
is there like a song that I would go,
See,
oh,
I don't think so. That's the thing, because like he was sort of an indie artist.
okay.
Who did really well in the music industry and unfortunately passed away at a young age.
Okay.
So it's like there are some artists you listen to, and a lot of people said there are some people you feel like you know when you listen to their music.
Sure.
And that was kind of Elliott Smith in a
Okay.
nutshell. And his voice was quiet, almost fragile. But
Oh,
what he was saying...
fragile.
Yeah, fragile voices. But what he was saying hit people in a way that I think stuck with them for a really long time. And the strange part is the more people connected to him through his music, the less clear the full picture of his actual life became. And because behind those songs was a story that doesn't quite settle into one version, especially when it comes to how it all ended.
Ooh, okay. I'm ready to learn something.
Yeah.
I'm set.
Elliott Smith was born Stephen Paul Smith
Okay.
on August 6th, 1969 at Methodist Hospital in Omaha, Nebraska. Have you been to Nebraska?
No.
I haven't either.
I know people from Omaha though.
Yeah,
or
I
who
do
like
too.
live in Omaha, but I've never been.
I've always wanted to like visit. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe I'll do that. Anyway,
Kevin's future plans.
I'm just letting you know. I'm making a mark. Elliott was the only child of Gary Smith, who was studying at the University of Nebraska Medical Center. And his mom was Bunny K. Berryman.
Bunny Berryman. I'm obsessed.
I know. I love that name. What she did for work, she was an elementary school music teacher.
Of course she was.
Yeah.
Bunny K.
Bunny K.
Bunny K. I'm a girl. Love
it.
you.
I love it.
Hope you were a good person because I feel you were. Oh.
We'll talk about it later.
Oh, shit.
I don't think it's of her fault. We'll talk.
Okay.
Yeah. So not long after Elliott's born, his parents separated, unfortunately. And by the time he was about 6 months old, his mother had moved with him to Duncanville, Texas.
Okay.
That's where he spent most of his early years, growing up in the suburbs outside of Dallas, which is where Duncanville is.
Okay.
His childhood in Texas was difficult, unfortunately. And it's something that he rarely talked about in his real life. Like,
Sure.
not in detail, at least. He hinted at things. You can see it in some of his songs and his songwriting.
Okay.
He lived with his mother and his stepfather, Charlie Welch. So Bunny K gets remarried to Charlie Welch.
Got it.
But the thing is, later in life, Elliott suggested that he may have experienced sexual abuse during this time. Though that claim is later denied by Welch. He alluded to being sexually abused by his stepfather. But he never really went into full detail about what happened.
Okay.
So he once said there wasn't much he felt comfortable putting into print at that period in his life, And he also told people that he feared for his mother's safety.
Oh, damn.
So it's sounding like there was some turbulence in the family.
Yeah, something was off.
At home. Something was going on. And I feel like the fact that he says he's not comfortable talking about it out loud to other people is like because he's worried for his mom.
Oof.
So outside of home life, things aren't much easier. He dealt with bullying at school. As he got older, he had some negative run-ins with the police.
Oh, shit.
All of that created a backdrop that felt sort of tense and isolating at this point. And even so, there were early signs of what would become central to his life, though. So yeah, he's not having the greatest childhood. He's not having a great time in school with other people. He's actually excelling, like, academically, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Okay.
But music starts to show up early, and it sticks to him. And he started playing piano around the age of 9.
Well, I feel like with his mom being an elementary music teacher.
Exactly. Like, music is there to begin with. And there are also a few other people in his family that play music, which I'll bring up in a sec. By 10 years old, he picked up a guitar after his father bought him a small acoustic. And he didn't just learn to play, he started creating music right away. So as a kid, he wrote a piano piece called Fantasy that ended up winning a prize at a local arts festival.
Hey, look at that.
Damn. Shit. No. You get it. Music also ran in his family. His grandfather played drums in a Dixieland group.
Oh, fun.
And his grandmother sang in a glee club.
I love this family.
Yeah.
So far.
Well, except for the stepfather. That's who we don't like.
Okay.
Everyone else seems okay.
Okay.
And again, we can't forget that his mom's a music teacher. But at that same time, religion was a big part of his upbringing. Though it didn't seem to bring him any comfort whatsoever. His family was involved with the Community of Christ. I'm not familiar. But then they later attended Methodist church.
Okay.
I was Methodist for a brief period.
I don't really know the ideologies behind.
I have no idea. I just went as a kid and sat there. I was like, oh, this is pretty. Elliott would eventually say that those church experiences left him feeling afraid, especially when it came to ideas around hell.
Sure. Yep.
Which is so fucking scary.
Well, I mean, I feel like a lot of religion is based in fear.
Fear-based,
Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense.
Tell me if you've heard of this, but like there are churches all around the country, probably even abroad, that do like hell houses.
What?
So what they'll do, they'll put together hell houses of real life scenarios of like, you know, someone getting pregnant out of wedlock, someone doing drugs. And it's like a haunted house where you go through and you get to see them go to hell and get persecuted and die.
Can everyone just sit with that for just a second?
It was a huge thing. I think they're it's not hell houses. There's an actual name for them, but it happens a lot.
I have no word.
Isn't that messed up?
That is the most fucked up thing I think I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure there's like documentaries about them and stuff. So if you're interested, it's wild.
But at the same time, like, I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either.
But that's so messed up.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let's move on to the story. I have really taken this in a different direction.
I'm feeling a lot of feelings right now.
Me too. This is about Elliott. So Elliott didn't like religion.
Okay.
He was scared of hell.
I get it.
That's where we'll leave it.
Okay.
All right. So when Elliott's 14, things start to shift. He leaves Texas.
Okay.
And he goes to Portland, Oregon to live with his father.
All right.
Who was working as a psychiatrist at the time.
Okay.
This move is a big turning point in his life. And he had just been crazy unhappy in Texas.
Sure.
So this is kind of a new start for him. He went to Lincoln High School, where he played clarinet in the school band and continued working on guitar and piano.
Wow.
So he also started singing at this time and playing in like little high school bands called Stranger Than Fiction and A Murder of Crows.
Fun.
Love. Sometimes using the name Stephen Smith and at other times going by Johnny Panic.
I mean, I do kind of love Johnny Panic.
I know. I love it too.
It's a fun stage name.
I was trying to think of like what my stage name would be. Rambunctious Raymond.
Raymond is not it.
Willful Water Lily.
We have some workshopping to do.
Yes. Okay. So Johnny Panic. He was academically strong.
Yeah, it sounds
graduating as a National Merit Scholar.
All right.
Which says a lot about him since he's like doing well in school, but also dealing with kind of a tumultuous family life.
Sometimes wonder like if that's wise because he devoted all of his energy towards school because that was like a safe
thing
like
for him
the
to do.
academics were something that he could control.
100%.
And so he just went full force.
100%. So around this time, he begins experimenting with recording, borrowing a 4-track recorder and teaching himself how to layer sounds.
He's reminding me of Bobby Fuller.
Yeah, you're right.
Very like similar, I feel, paths.
Yes, you're right. Absolutely. We'll dive into this a little bit more later in the story, but he starts kind of using alcohol and other substances around this time with his friends, which becomes a pattern later on.
Got it.
Just put a pin in that. So his family situation also kind of expanded as he grew older. Through his mother, he had half siblings. So she had kids with the stepfather.
Sure.
He had half siblings, Darren Welch and Ashley Welch. And through his father, he had a half sister named Rachel Smith.
Okay.
Despite being surrounded by family, there's a sense that Elliott often feels like he's sort of navigating everything on his own. It's one of those situations where everyone else feels tight-knit, but you don't necessarily feel like
because he was the only kid of Bunny and Gary, right?
Right, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's tough.
And everybody else has their own kids.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like caught in that middle.
Yeah.
Which I can only imagine feels super isolating.
That's really hard.
So by the time he was a teenager in Portland, he's super into music. He's doing all the things. Friends remembered him from that period. They remember him as being funny and nerdy and full of ideas. Tony Lash, who would later become his bandmate, met him in high school when both of them were in band class.
Okay.
Lash played the flute and Elliott's playing the clarinet. Mm-hmm. They both bonded over the band Rush. I've never heard of Rush. But
you've never heard of Rush?
No.
Okay.
At this time, Elliott's writing songs that are ambitious, they're complicated. Lash remembered that Elliott had more ideas than arrangement discipline at first, but the talent is obvious right out the gate.
Yeah.
After high school, Elliott leaves Oregon.
It is a music-themed episode.
I know, right? For Hampshire College in Amherst, Massachusetts.
Okay.
He goes straight through, finishes the 4 years, earning a degree in philosophy and poli-sci.
Oh, wow. Did not see that turn of events.
I did not either. He explained that college was something that he felt like he had to do, in part to prove to himself that he could stick to something for a while and finish it out.
Okay.
Even so, he did care about what he studied. His senior thesis was called Toward a Post-Structuralist Feminist Jurisprudence.
Sure.
And it was heavily influenced by feminist legal thinker Catherine McKinnon.
Kate McKinnon?
Yeah.
I didn't know she was doing that too.
I didn't know. That makes sense for this, though. While he was at Hampshire, he meets Neil Gust, and the two formed an early version of the band Heat Miser. Once Elliott graduated, he goes back to Portland. The band took clearer shape with Gust, Tony Lash, and bassist Brant Peterson. What had started as a college project became a real working band. And in Portland, the music scene around them was active, super tight-knit, and Heat Miser found a place in it like pretty fast.
Oh, nice.
They kind of blew up. Elliott's girlfriend at the time, JJ Gonson, became the band's manager.
Okay.
She first saw Heat Miser in 1993 at X-Ray in Portland and had a strong reaction, saying that every member of the band stood out.
Do we know how he got the name Elliott? Like where that came from?
I don't know where it came from, but he changes it later in his career to Elliott.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because his name's Steven.
Right.
But Elliott's ability was especially striking in this band. JJ thought Neil may have actually seemed like he had more of a technically polished guitar playing skill, but Elliott had something unusual. According to her, he could hear the music and make it come out of his fingers without stumbling.
Okay.
As if there were a direct line between his brain and his hands. Like, he's not the most polished guitar player, but he can hear something and then
and just be able to play it.
Be able to play it.
Man, I wish I had that skill.
I know. So Portland in the early 90s gave the band room to grow. According to Lash and Gonson, there was a real sense of community around local music then, with venues like La Luna serving as central hubs for small bands. There's a weekly night setup at La Luna that became really important for Heat Miser. For $1 at the door, audiences could see 3 local bands.
$1?
$1. And then the club let the bands keep all of the door money. That meant groups like Heat Miser could play in front of big local crowds and actually make money while sharpening their skills at live performing. Cool deal.
Yeah.
Love. At the same time, Elliott and Gust were piecing together a living in all the usual ways, because we know the arts don't pay at first.
Sure.
They worked odd jobs around Portland, doing drywall, gravel work, bamboo transplanting.
Wow, okay.
Okay, right? And painting a warehouse roof with reflective paint.
So a lot of like handyman chores.
Handyman
like,
work.
Contractor work.
Contractor work, exactly. At different times, they were also on unemployment, which they half-jokingly thought of as an artist grant.
I do like that.
I like that too. So Heat Miser begins releasing music in the early 90s and gets a substantial following. They put out songs Dead Air in 1993 and Cop and Speeder in 1994, along with the Yellow No. 5 EP in 94 as well, all through Frontier Records. Eventually, they signed with Virgin Records, which led to what became their final album, Mike City Sons, released in 96. But even while Heat Miser was gaining ground, there's something going on in the background. Elliott had started recording songs on his own.
Okay. Was he thinking of like going solo?
Yes, that's exactly it. And those songs sounded nothing like the louder material he was making with the band.
Sure.
While living with J.J. Gonson in a house on Southeast 29th Avenue and Taylor Street in Portland, he began writing and recording what would become the album Roman Candle in the basement.
Okay.
Gonson remembered him spending hours upstairs working songs out, then heading downstairs briefly to put them on tape. The setup was kind of crude. He was using a low-quality microphone right up against the guitar without even an acoustic pickup, but somehow the sound worked. The first solo material was not initially presented as a move away from Heat Miser the band yet. It was just like a side project that he was working on.
He was on a side quest.
Exactly. And Cavity Search Records ended up...
Cavity Search? I kind of like it.
I know, right? Cavity Search Records end up releasing Roman Candle in 1994, which was essentially his first solo project.
Okay.
Elliott had expected at most that one song might come out a single, but instead they wanted the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
He later said he was shocked because the record felt completely out of step with what was popular at this time.
Mm-hmm.
In the Pacific Northwest, there's grunge domination. The idea of stepping out alone with an acoustic guitar was almost embarrassing. And he once said that playing solo like that in that scene was like crawling out on a limb and asking for it to be cut off.
That's an image.
So even so, the material connects with people. Friends who heard it knew it was different. Tony Lash mixed Roman Candle from the 4-track tapes in the basement and remembered how far it was from what they were doing with Heat Miser.
Mm-hmm.
Slim Moon of Kill Rock Stars. I love these names. Kill Rock Stars is a record label.
Oh, okay.
Heard Elliott play during a small West Coast solo tour and was floored by the songs. He was like, this is hot shit.
Oh, wow.
We gotta get this guy. So as Elliott's solo work kept growing, the split between that side of him and Heat Miser became harder to ignore. Gonson, who's his girlfriend and the band's manager, later said Elliott was not good at direct communication when something difficult had to be said.
Always a problem.
I know. And rather than clearly telling the band what he wanted, he would just shut down. She knew he was holding songs back from Heat Miser because she lived with him and saw it happening.
Yeah. Yeah, she knows what's up.
She knows what's going on. At this time, he's working on solo music. He's with Heat Miser still, but there's kind of tension there a little bit. But the band still has obligations under its record contract. And Elliott's also trying to prioritize his solo career.
Yeah, I feel like when you are in a group and that one person tries to branch off, it never ends well. I don't feel like you can have it both ways.
I agree with you. And I will say that I will never forgive Jerry Hollowell for leaving the Spice Girls, but I will also always love her for her solo work.
And there you have it.
I cried so hard at the mall that day when she quit. I was just in tears at a table with my Burger King.
Oh.
Sobbing because we had just got tickets to see them in concert.
Oh.
Whatever. So Gonson remembered the shock of him pulling away while the rest of the group was still trying to keep the band moving. Elliott wanted to take the band's sound in a quieter direction, which created friction, especially because Lash still thought of himself mainly as like a rock drummer. He's like, I'm not going to change how I sound and this band sounds
to fit
your MO.
Yeah.
So Lou Barlow, who toured with Elliott in that era, later remembered a long overnight drive with him when Elliott talked about the difficulty of moving on from Heat Miser. The band was made up of people he cared about.
Sure.
And going solo was not emotionally simple for him, but creatively, we already know that the shift is underway.
Yeah.
Heat Miser eventually ended before Mike City Sons was even released properly. Virgin put it out through Caroline Records, and because of a clause in the contract, Elliott remained tied to the label as a solo artist until the deal was later bought out by DreamWorks.
Ah, okay.
I also looked this up. DreamWorks, it was a big company that had different...
It wasn't like the Spielberg...
No, DreamWorks film isn't...
We're talking about record labels.
Right,
here.
we're talking about the record label. That's kind of under the big umbrella where DreamWorks is. So once Heat Miser started falling apart, Elliott's solo work is hoppin'. His early shows were small and a little awkward, but in a good way. He played one of his first solo gigs in Portland in September 94 at Umbra Penumbra. That sounds like a spell. Umbra Penumbra!
It does. It sounds like Harry Potter.
I know. Mixing in songs from Roman Candle with some older unreleased material that he had been working on. And at this same time, he put out a split single with Pete Krebs. He was still figuring out how to be alone on stage, sometimes playing for just a handful of people. Mary Lou Lord saw him. These are all like industry people in the music industry.
Okay.
Mary Lord saw him early on and immediately got it. She takes him on tour. They end up playing together a lot, even busking outside during South by Southwest.
Oh, wow.
And running through songs for whoever stopped to listen. Then in 95, he released Elliott Smith on Kill Rock Stars. It still had an intimate feel, but you could hear him starting to stretch a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca Gates sang on one track, Neil Gust played on another, and there were hints of where he might take his music career next. The tricky part was that the scene around him didn't quite know what to do with him.
Sure.
You know? Kill Rock Stars was tied to louder bands, and then here's Elliott putting out these quiet songs under his own name.
Yeah.
Even so, musicians started paying attention before critics really caught up, and Lou Barlow even took him on tour with Sabato. By the time Either Or came out, in the next album, Either Or comes out in 97, again, things start to shift. The songs feel bigger, but they still have that close-up individual feeling.
Like intimate feeling?
Intimate, thank you.
Okay.
Tracks like Between the Bars and Angelus showed how detailed his writing and recording had become. Then, movie tie-in. Good Will Hunting changed everything.
Oh, interesting.
Right? Director Gus Van Sant had been using Elliott's music while editing and ended up bringing him in to contribute songs.
Oh, wow.
Including one called Miss Misery. And that track got nominated for an Oscar.
Well, shit.
Which suddenly put Elliott on a much bigger stage.
Yeah.
He performed it on Late Night with Conan O'Brien and then at the Academy Awards in 1998.
Oh, wow.
Wearing a white suit and clearly like a little bit out of his element.
I'm trying to remember back to that. I'll have to look it up because I don't remember back to that performance. But Good Will Hunting, that was a great movie.
I know. Love that movie. So yeah, he really jumps off at that point. Like,
yeah.
And, you know, he signed to DreamWorks and that led to XO, which is his next album in 1998.
Okay.
And that sound opened up with more instruments, more layers, more detailed arrangements, but still felt like him. He started playing bigger shows. He appeared on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, wow.
He toured with Quasi as his backing band. Even with all that, he was pretty open about not feeling like someone who belonged in the spotlight.
Okay.
In 2000, he released Figure 8, which pushed things even further. He actually recorded part of that album at Abbey Road.
Oh, wow.
Right? He was working with big top people and he was exploring different sounds. Like he's starting to get more exploratory with everything. So it's at this time that he up and moves to Los Angeles.
Okay.
And starts playing smaller local shows again, even as his profile stayed high. I think he kind of missed that.
Yeah.
And went back to like doing smaller venues.
Got it.
He also contributed a Beatles cover to the American Beauty soundtrack.
Wow.
So after his album Figure 8, things got a little less straightforward in terms of releases, but he never stopped working. He started recording new material with John Breon and then walked away from those sessions. After that, he connects with David McConnell and begins working at Satellite Park in Malibu.
When you say walked away from those sessions, do you mean like he walked out? Like, what do you mean by that?
I think he had started working with him and then just stopped working with him because it wasn't what he wanted.
Oh, okay.
Is what I took from reading that. But yeah. So so he connects with David McConnell and he was working at Satellite Park in Malibu. And then that turns into a long stretch of music recording.
Okay.
Which was pretty intense and chaotic at that time. He was also building his own studio.
Hey.
New Monkey.
I love love that name.
And putting a lot of time into getting that up and running. And even in those later years, there were moments where he stepped back into the spotlight. His music showed up in the Royal Tenenbaums in 2001.
Wow.
And in 2003, he played 2 sold-out shows at the Henry Fonda Theater in Hollywood.
Wow.
That felt like a big return to like his previous form.
Okay.
He also played a few more shows that year, including one at the University of Utah in September, which ended up being his last performance. In the early 2000s, while Elliott was living in Los Angeles, he met and got into a relationship with Jennifer Chiba. Jennifer was a musician herself.
Okay.
Part of a local punk band called Happy Ending. And Elliott really supported that. He helped them out in a big way.
Okay.
He took them on tour as his opening act.
Oh, cool.
And paid for things along the way and even produced their first single.
Oh, wow.
There are also snapshots of them together that feel pretty normal, even kind of sweet. In one interview from January 2003, they're described sitting side by side while Elliott worked in the studio late at night. He's focused on the music and she's there with him, kind of watching and reacting in an affectionate way.
Mm-hmm.
People close to them at times said the relationship brought some stability into his life.
Okay.
There's even mention that they started a foundation for abused children together. I looked this up and I couldn't really find anything like outright out there about this foundation.
Okay.
But it sounds to me like they were donating money into something that would help abused children.
Okay.
So this relationship seems pretty good, but at the same time, there's a lot of accounts that it suggest that things weren't always great between them. Some people described the relationship as intense and unpredictable.
Ooh.
Sean Organ, who was involved with releasing the Happy Ending single through Org Records in the UK, talked about how tense those sessions could be. He described situations where the mood would swing back and forth.
Ooh.
Where Elliott would be excited about something one minute and then completely shut it down the next. Jennifer was often in the middle of that dynamic, and it just wasn't good.
Okay.
You see where this is kind of heading?
I don't know if I see where it's heading.
Not heading,
maybe
but
to
how
a breakup.
it was. I mean, at this time, it's tumultuous.
Sure.
Like, they're great one minute, then they're...
Feels like maybe they shouldn't be working together.
Yeah, but there's a comparison that people around them were making at the time to Sid Vicious and Nancy Spungen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Right. So Organ said that description was floating around before Elliott passed away, and it was meant to capture how kind of volatile things would get between the couple.
Yeah, that's never good.
It's not good. Not with that comparison. Also, go listen to Kate's episodes.
Yeah, I loved them.
Sid Vicious and Nancy Spungen.
Or Spungen.
Spungen.
It's one or the other.
Right. There's also something important in how Jennifer talked about Elliott's past. She connected some of his struggles as an adult to things that he had experienced as a child, saying that he was dealing with memories that were coming back to him in pieces.
Like what?
The sexual abuse by his stepfather.
So when he made those comments or whatever it was, wherever he said that, did that only come up when he was with this Jennifer person, or had he made those comments
It sounds like
on?
Earlier on he had made
Oh,
comments about
okay.
it and said he didn't want to go into it further.
Gotcha.
But I think as he's telling Jennifer everything, as she's getting to know him, I think she's also making those connections between his music and his past and saying, well, yeah, he had a really hard childhood.
Okay.
That's where it's sort of all coming from.
Like, can you give me some, I don't know if you have any like on hand, but like examples of lyrics or like.
I could, but I'm not going to because I don't have it here. When you start looking at Elliott Smith's life off stage, it's hard to separate the music from what he was actually dealing with internally because so much of it was tied together. He started using alcohol and other substances with friends. And that pattern, as I mentioned previously, and that pattern would follow him for years.
Oof.
So as he got older and moved into his 20s, the struggles did not go away.
Wait, how old was he when he was doing all that? Like,
What do you mean?
Like with Jennifer and like all the Heat Miser and like all of that?
He's in his 30s.
I guess I'm confused.
How?
Because you just said when he got into his 20s, he started doing XYZ.
Right. Yeah. I'm taking this back. Like we've talked about his teen years
Okay.
and we've talked about everything. Now I'm kind of interjecting the struggles with
Gotcha.
drugs and alcohol.
Thank you. Got it.
Because in high school, he starts using drugs with friends and drinking. And then as he gets into his 20s, it continues. And even when he's building the life in music, there's a constant push and pull. People who knew him back in Portland talk about staying up with him late at night. He's also depressed. He's like having dark thoughts. He, goes to his friends and says like, tells them about these, and they try to like kind of push him back from it. Christopher Cooper from Cavity Search said that he had to talk him out of wanting to end his life more than once.
Oof.
Pete Krebs had similar experiences. This wasn't something that just showed up later. It had been there for a while. Once his career started growing, it didn't really erase the pressure. If anything, it complicates everything.
Absolutely.
He became known for writing songs that dealt with addiction, depression, isolation, but that wasn't just a persona. That's what he was living through and writing about.
Sure.
And Elliott's depression became more intense as his career was taking off. He spoke openly about thinking about suicide, and there were moments where things got very serious. There's a story that he told about running off a cliff in North Carolina while he was intoxicated. He didn't like plan that out in a clear way. He just didn't stop himself and went running off a cliff.
Like, how far did he fall?
Well, he fell pretty hard, but he jumped off a cliff, fell into a tree, got impaled by a branch.
Oh, God.
And that stopped his fall and his like ultimate death.
Impaled where?
It didn't say.
Oh, God.
Yeah. People close to him kept trying to step in.
Sure.
There was an intervention in Chicago near the end of one of his tours, but that didn't change anything. There were reports that he was using heroin and crack. And people around him noticed major changes in his behavior. There were stories about him struggling during shows, forgetting lyrics, or drifting off on stage. Neighbors in Silver Lake later said that they would see him walking around wrapped in a blanket talking to himself.
Oh, man, this is dark.
The early 2000s were especially rough. He started to believe he was being followed, especially by white vans, and would take strange routes to avoid them, sometimes getting dropped off far from the studio and walking the rest of the way through brush.
Wow.
He wasn't eating much and would go long stretches without sleeping, then crash for like a full day. People who worked with him during that time described sessions that were intense and unpredictable.
I would imagine.
There was a lot of substance use happening around those recordings, along with a mix of prescription medications. McConnell and Elliott would sometimes talk about trying to overdose almost casually, like it was just another part of the cycle.
Wait, who's McConnell again?
David McConnell. He's one of the producers that Elliott works with. At the same time, there were moments where it seemed like he was trying to pull himself out of it. In 2002, he went to the Neurotransmitter Restoration Center in Beverly Hills.
Okay.
The treatment there was unconventional. It involved IV therapy, but he believed it helped.
Okay.
And for a while after that, people said he seemed cleaner and more focused. There's also this detail from a dream journal that gives you a glimpse into how he was thinking at the time. He wrote about wanting to beat himself up for how he had treated himself and about needing to separate drug use from trying to escape his past.
It's like he's trying to work through it, but
it's not going. By 2003, there were signs that things might be stabilizing more. He had given up alcohol after his birthday in August.
Okay.
He was playing shows again, including those 2 nights at the Henry Fonda Theater. Friends like Blake Sennett and Dave Pajo said he seemed to be in a better place, or at least trying to be. He was working, he was reconnecting with people, and talking about finishing a record that he had been working on called From a Basement on the Hill.
Okay.
But even then, people close to him understood that being in that kind of upswing could be complicated. Tony Lash pointed out that when someone has more energy again, that can sometimes be when they're most at risk. because they're able to act on impulses that they couldn't before.
Oh, that is so scary.
And unfortunately, they were right about that. Because Elliott Smith died on October 21st, 2003, at the age of 34. This occurred at the home he shared with Jennifer Chiba on Lemoyne Street in the Echo Park area of Los Angeles. By that point, he had been living in Los Angeles for several years, and he and Chiba were together at the house the day it happened.
Oh, wow.
The day unfolded inside the home during an argument between Elliott and Jennifer. The fight escalated enough that Chiba removed herself from the room and locked herself in the bathroom to take a shower.
Okay.
While Jennifer is in the bathroom, she heard Elliott scream. When she came out, she saw Elliott standing there with his back to her. When he turned around, there was a kitchen knife in his chest.
Oh.
He was gasping for air. Chiba goes over to him, pulls the knife out.
Oh, man.
After she removed it, Elliott turned and took a few steps before collapsing. She called 911 at 12:18 p.m. that day, and the operator stayed on the line and talked her through CPR until paramedics arrived.
Okay.
Elliott was taken to the hospital, but the injuries were too severe. He had suffered 2 stab wounds to his chest, and the wounds reached his heart.
First off, to stab yourself in the chest is already, I would think, very uncommon.
Oh, we'll talk about that. Yeah, for sure.
And to do it twice makes me feel like I'm going to need to know a little bit more about Jennifer.
Sure. So emergency surgery was attempted, but it didn't save him. He was pronounced dead about 20 minutes after arriving at the hospital at 1:36 p.m. A note was found at the house after he was taken out. It was written on a Post-it and read, "I'm so sorry. Love, Elliott. God forgive me."
Oh, man.
What makes Elliott Smith's death so unsettling is that the official record never fully locked it down in a clean and final way. So let's talk about it.
Okay.
The autopsy and later reporting started to complicate the suicide picture of this. The coroner's report, which came out in late 2003 and was published online in January 2004, did not give a simple ruling that closed the door on all other possibilities.
Okay.
It said Elliott's history of depression was consistent with suicide, and it also said the location and direction of the wounds were consistent with self-infliction. But it also said there were several parts of the case that were unusual for a suicide, and that those details raised the possibility of homicide.
Yeah.
That's the key thing here. The official record did not say beyond question that this was definitely self-inflicted. It left the matter open.
Yeah, because I don't know that I'm sold on it being a suicide.
I'm not at all. And we'll talk more. A big part of the issue with the coroner's report were the wounds themselves. Elliott had 2 stab wounds to the chest.
Yeah.
And both entered the chest cavity. One of them pierced his heart. The autopsy noted that the first wound was fatal, which led which led people to question how likely it was that he could have then inflicted a second wound in a very similar direction and angle.
That's the thing, because if he's punctured his heart on the first wound, I don't foresee him having the strength and the ability to do it again.
Yeah, exactly. The report also pointed out that there were no hesitation wounds. That matters because in many stabbing suicides, there are tentative cuts or marks made before the final act.
Sure. That doesn't sell it as a homicide for me, that part, but the fact that there's 2 stab wounds does.
Elliott didn't have those. He also stabbed through his clothing, which the report flagged as atypical.
That is weird.
Then there were small injuries on his hands and under or along his right arm, which the report described as possible defensive wounds.
Okay.
That language is important because it suggests at least the possibility that those injuries came from trying to fend someone off. Then there's Jennifer Chiba's role in the scene itself, which became part of the official concern. According to reports, she pulled the knife out of Elliott's chest after finding him. Remember?
Right.
The coroner's report specifically identified that as pretty troubling. The report also said her alleged refusal to speak with detectives was another point of concern. However, Chiba later pushes back on this and denied that she had refused to cooperate. She also said that if she were really a suspect, investigators would have acted on that. But even with her denial, the fact remains that the coroner's report itself singled out both the removal of the knife and her dealings with investigators as reasons that the circumstances could not be treated as straightforward.
Yeah.
Another thing that fed skepticism was the method itself. Suicide by stabbing does happen, but it's rare.
Mm-hmm.
One account included figures from the Los Angeles coroner's office saying that less than 4% of suicides in 2001 and 2002 involved sharp force injuries. And many of those were wrist wounds rather than chest stabbings. Another account said that only about 2% of suicides happen by stabbing, and that most of those occur at night, not during the day. This is all just, it's just giving statistics around what actually happens. It's not saying that it can't actually happen again. You know what I mean?
I think for me, what is holding me up is that she said he screamed.
Mm-hmm.
If he stabbed himself once, pierced his heart, I don't even know that he would have the ability to actually vocalize a scream at that point. I'm not sure medically if that is possible if you've stabbed yourself. I mean, if you've punctured your heart, to be able to scream, but then to do it again. If she hadn't said he screamed.
Yeah.
Well, and if there weren't 2 stab wounds.
Well, and then the first one is fatal.
It's like when you hear this about in old cases where someone will have 2 bullet holes and they'll say it was a suicide. I'm like, no, honey.
No.
It doesn't work like you can't have 2 bullet holes in the head and it be a suicide.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. So the toxicology results also matter here.
Mm-hmm.
They did not show illegal drugs or alcohol in his system at the time of death.
Okay, I was also thinking, well, maybe he was just in a very altered state and I could see something like this happening. But if he has nothing in his system, I don't foresee this.
He has prescription drugs in his system.
How much?
Not an overdose or anything like that. It's just his normal, okay, let me just read it. So they did not show illegal drugs or alcohol in his system. What they did show were prescribed medications in therapeutic or non-abusive levels, including antidepressant, anti-anxiety, and ADHD medications.
Okay.
That undercut one easy theory people might have had, which was that he died while intoxicated or in some kind of chaotic drug state. Mm-hmm. That just wasn't the truth.
Yeah.
People close to Elliott were angry about the idea that people would reduce Elliott's death to him just being another junkie, and said that that was not what this was about at all. And so even though Elliott had a long history of substance abuse, the toxicology on the day of his death did not support the idea that he was high on illegal drugs when he died.
Yeah.
The question didn't stay limited to the autopsy report. The questions didn't stay limited to the autopsy report. They spilled out into public arguments almost immediately. After the report surfaced in January 2004, Chiba gave a statement to MTV News saying she was physically sick when she learned it had been posted online and felt Elliott's privacy had been violated. She's talking about the coroner's report getting online.
Oh, okay.
Because that was published online and she was like, why is this out there? But a few days later, Conrad Rippey, who's the attorney for Elliott's parents and his half-sister Ashley, issued a statement pushing back on the idea that the family knew the truth. So people are out there speculating wildly about what happened here.
Okay.
Because of the coroner's report, right? Like some people are saying, no, he committed suicide. Other people are blaming everyone else, blaming everyone around him. They're blaming Jennifer. There's just a bunch of rumors flying around about what actually happened to this guy. And I think all of those rumors fed into the idea that, well, the family must know the truth about this. But the lawyer, Conrad Rippey, for the estate was like, no, they don't necessarily know the truth. They're just going based on what the police are saying and what this investigation is saying. So stop spreading all this bullshit.
Had the family made some kind of statement or something?
I don't believe so, no. I think people were just speculating wildly about this and saying that it became this sort of conspiracy thing.
Which is weird because it's not like he was living with his family.
No, I know. But they have to handle all of his estate and everything. The police side stayed unresolved too. The Los Angeles Police Department never publicly closed the case.
That says a lot to me.
Detective James King would only say that the investigation was ongoing and would not go into details.
Here's why that says a lot to me, because there's nothing detectives love more than to close a case and for it to be done. And especially when it is, as awful as it sounds, when it is a drug user who lives his lifestyle.
Yep.
And it looks that it could, quote unquote, possibly be a suicide. I feel like the first thing you hear is detectives are like, oh, okay, open and shut case, suicide. So the fact that they're not closing it and that they do have questions, I feel like speaks volumes.
I will tell you now that it is to this day still open.
There you go.
There were also people in Elliott's circle who openly doubted the suicide explanation. Mark Flanagan, who owned a Hollywood club where Elliott played, flat out said he did not believe Elliott stabbed himself in the chest.
Mm-hmm.
He suggested there were dangerous people around Elliott and that homicide would not surprise him.
Wow.
Did
he name names?
He did not name names. There were also anonymous or semi-anonymous posts on fan message boards from people claiming Elliott did not kill himself. Some of that veered in, as I've said, into rumor and speculation. Mm-hmm. And obviously none of that carries the same weight as the coroner's report and everything. But the reason those suspicions took hold so strongly is that the official findings themselves left room for them.
Right.
So at the same time, there's also people close to Elliott who still felt suicide was the more likely answer. Scott McPherson, who's another musician he's worked with, later described him as, quote, a sick man without his medicine.
Oh.
During the last month of his life, after he had gotten sober and also cut out all the other things at once.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer Chiba said getting clean and coming off various medications left him newly exposed to feelings he had been masking.
I mean, that is plausible.
Possible, 100%. Tony Lash, who he's known forever, one of his old bandmates, said a person on the upswing can sometimes be more capable of acting on those destructive thoughts than someone who is too deeply depressed to move. We've talked about that already. Right. There were also older stories that fed that view, like Larry Crane, another musician, remembering Elliott showing him an old chest scar and accounts of Elliott talking openly over the years about wanting to die. So the suicide argument wasn't ever really based on nothing. He did.
Sure.
I don't mean, it's hard when we talk about this because people can have ideations and talk about it and think about themselves. And then it's kind of that difference between acting and actually just I don't want to say even considering, but just even thinking about it. That's where this really lands. The coroner did not give a fully closed answer and explicitly said homicide remained possible.
Okay.
His family's attorney later stressed that the truth had not been determined and the LAPD investigation, based on the information here, just stays open.
Was Jennifer interviewed? Did she go down to the station and have a formal interview?
Yeah, of course.
Do we know what she said in that?
No. So about a year after Elliott Smith died, his relationship with Jennifer Chiba comes back into the spotlight, but this time through the courts.
Okay.
So on July 30th, 2004, Chiba filed a lawsuit in Los Angeles tied to Smith's estate.
Okay.
Which was being handled in probate. The claim centered on what she said had been an understanding between the two of them while they were living together in Los Angeles starting around August 2002.
All right, I have a lot of feelings about this.
Yeah, according to Chiba, their relationship wasn't just personal. It was also financial and professional.
Was it in writing?
She said they had to agree to share their lives in a way that included money, work, and responsibilities, and that Smith had promised to take care of her financially long term.
Was it in writing?
Of fucking course not. She also argued that she played a key role in his career during that time, helping manage things behind the scenes and supporting his day-to-day work. Based on that, she claimed she was entitled to a portion of his earnings, including income from his music, and she filed a claim worth more than $1 million.
Girl.
But once the case moved forward, it hit a big legal obstacle. In November 2005, a California labor commissioner ruled that the kind of work Chiba described doing, especially anything tied to managing or booking, legally required a licensed talent agent.
Yeah.
Since she did not have that license,
dun, dun, dun.
The ruling said the agreement she described could not be enforced.
Yeah.
That decision essentially shut down her claim. She appealed, but in October 2007, a California appellate court upheld the earlier ruling with a divided decision that still came down against her.
Okay. If it ain't in writing, it ain't happening.
It's not happening, girl. Get out of it. But yeah, this case is still open. And I feel like that's why it's hard to find all the information. I mean, you can look it up and the coroner's report got out there, but it feels like everything else aside from that report is still sort of like under the table, not under the table, but put away.
It sounds like she wasn't investigated. It sounds like she was only interviewed.
Yeah. I don't think she was ever like fully actually investigated about this as a crime.
Because they were the only two in the home, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So one of them did it.
One of them did it.
When the first stab is fatal and then there's a second one. Oh no.
I'm just saying.
Feels a little
so could he have
physically
done that?
physically happened?
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know. It just seems so weird to me. Also, to just stab yourself in the chest. I mean, he could have been that angry. I mean, she did lock herself in the bathroom.
I mean, yeah, I do think it's absolutely plausible.
Yeah.
Do I think it's what happened? I have my doubts.
I do too. Yeah.
And then when a year later you try and make a claim for over $1 million.
Yeah.
It's not a great look.
I agree with you. He did have 2 final albums. The one he was working on when he passed, that came out. And then there was a posthumous album, I believe in 2007, that was released that his family like put together or was involved in choosing songs to be released and stuff like that.
So what did happen with his estate? Like who got the money from it?
That would have been his mom and his family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Make those wills, people.
Girl, get into it. Do your will. I made one during COVID because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I need to find it. It's on my phone. Need a safety lockbox. Oof. I did write a little bit more about people remembering him. I mean, a lot of people just said he was a really funny guy. He was really fun to be around. He was also very generous. And he was, Blake Sennett, who was a musician he worked with, said that, you know, this really sweet and generous soul of a man. He said Elliott wanted people around him to feel good and even recalled him as the kind of guy who might see you holding a record in a store and offer to buy it for you.
Aww.
Pete Krebs remembered him in a really grounded way too. He said the Elliott that he knew in Portland was witty, humble, and genuinely interested in what other people were saying. You'd think maybe he just played the guitar and then suddenly he'd sit at the piano and play Rachmaninoff. So super talented musician.
Yeah. All right. R.I.P. Elliott Smith.
R.I.P. Elliott Smith. Great musician, seemed like a really great guy, struggled with mental health and abuse. And then, unfortunately, in my mind, allegedly, I think he was murdered.
Just feels...
It doesn't feel right.
No. Feels off.
As we were talking about in the beginning of this episode, just feeling off.
Yeah.
This is one of those moments where it's like, this does not feel right.
Yeah. Well, this episode probably doesn't make you guys feel right, but hopefully you're doing all right. And you can leave your comments on this episode on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or Spotify at
Horrorwood Podcast.
Or you can send us your stories or your comments. Remember, we're doing Misfit Tales. They're back. So send those stories in. You can do that at
horrorwoodpodcast@gmail.com.
And you can subscribe on
YouTube, Apple, Patreon.
Yes, those are the things where you can get the bonus episodes and the ad-free episodes. And we hope that you guys have a great week. And we'll be back with something else next week.
Yeah.